Welcome to the channel, guys. Mr. H here, and we are looking at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because, yes, Tarantino can't seem to catch a break. He releases films and they just get slammed. It's amazing. A man who has arguably done fantastic things, I think, personally, for women in Hollywood. And this article from The Hollywood Reporter, I genuinely expected better from them, but they seem to be succumbing to this this is rage culture right now. People say that these videos are rage culture, but this is rage culture. This is, outrage at the best. It's inciting people to click on it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino, and when violence against women is a punchline. Now, if that's not inciting outrage, I don't know what is. And this is Tarantino, for goodness sake. I can't believe it. And they flip-flop a lot in this article. So we'll touch on it, we'll read it, we'll go from there. Okay, now I've not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so we're not going to be commenting on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood from a perspective of me actually viewing it, but we're going to be looking at his film history. Now, I've looked at this article. There are some slight spoilers for some bits and pieces of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so if you don't want to know, then just click off the video. But let's get into it. So, the filmmaker has created numerous memorable female characters, but their suffering is treated differently from that of their male counterparts. I completely, to quote Tarantino, reject this hypothesis. Genuinely, I do. In the opening scene of Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, Pumpkin tells his lover, Honey Bunny, about a bank robbery he read about. A man walked into a bank and handed a mobile phone to a teller. A voice on the phone informed the teller that if he didn't hand over the cash, the man who handed him the phone would lose his little girl, and he just walked out with the money. So what a great opening to a movie as well, just to reiterate that. Pulp Fiction's fantastic. Honey Bunny leans across the table and asks what happens to the child. There probably was never a little girl. The point of the story is that the little girl isn't the little girl. The point of the story is that they robbed a bank with a telephone. Now, the quick dialogue exchange exemplifies Tarantino's approach to visual violence against women throughout his cinematic career. Now, if this isn't a stretch, I don't know what is. Genuinely, he is a filmmaker concerned less about the morality of his stories and more about the initial emotional impact the story has on its audience. His vision isn't centered on what individuals will do with the images they receive, but simply on eliciting a reaction. So he's not a philosopher. Sue him. It's entertainment. The landscape is different as Tarantino unveils Once Upon a Time in Hollywood than it was when Pulp Fiction debuted 25 years ago, and this kind of story making can sit at odds with vocal online communities seeking politically correct, morally guided storytelling. But does that mean Tarantino's films are sexist or anti-women? Just because there are certain communities that demand more from storytelling doesn't mean you have to cater to them. You can cater to another sector, and that's clearly what Tarantino is doing. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Who cares? That's fine. When a reporter at Cannes asked Tarantino when Margot Robbie's Sharon Tate had so few lines, the director responded, "I reject your hypothesis," which, without having seen the movie, came off as rather flippant to me. I disagreed with that. I saw that. If you haven't seen it, it's great. True Tarantino fashion. This woman is basically trying to imply that Tarantino is hugely sexist. And he just says, yeah, I reject your hypothesis. Move on. And it's not flippant. I think he's bang on the money. He knows exactly what they're getting at. He knows the political climate that they're in. He's aware. I don't think that's flippant. I think it's on the money. Now, this reporter says, after seeing the film, it's easy to see Tarantino's frustration with the question. The movie is practically a love letter to the late actor, who was murdered 50 years ago. Plays Sharon Tate. If you don't know about that, research. It's genuinely tragic. So, Margot Robbie portrays Tate as gently flawed and full of hope for the future. Baby on the way aside, Tate loved her career, Los Angeles, and was blazing a trail to make a real name for herself. Robbie creates a warm interior life for Tate using little dialogue. So apparently, great performance from Margot Robbie, to say the least. A sense of deep dread grips all those who are aware of how her story ended. Manson murders. A group of young adults in their early 20s, too high to necessarily form their own opinions, were ordered to kill her. Now, this is where I start to take umbrage with this article. They barely took the time to question why. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino draws a world where two white, cisgender, heterosexual males, it's not relevant, is it really, were able to protect Tate through a series of chants. In avoiding the tragedy, Tarantino reaches a satisfying conclusion. Their sexuality is not relevant, is it? Let's be honest. However, the conclusion was reached by murdering those young adults. Two of them young women, in a comedic and explosively violent manner. The so-called Manson girls had been brainwashed by a madman. While they're certainly responsible for their own actions, it seems short-sighted to mark them strictly as villains worthy of slaughter. Now, having not seen the film, it's really difficult to comment on this particular scene, but in what world is it bad to just, murder murderers in this way? If we're talking... Just calm down. I know I phrased that bad. But if we're talking about an alternate reality, surely... For those that are aware of Sharon Tate, it would be great, satisfying, and nice to see the people that, perpetrated nasty, awful crimes get their just desserts. It's entertainment after all. It's an R-rated movie after all. Is that not fair storytelling? I think so. It's subverting expectations to a certain degree. Now, again, while they're certainly responsible for their own actions, so it's fine. So they got what they deserved, right? In this alternate reality, because they didn't in real life, so what's the issue? Even more distressing is the fact that violence against women is generally played for laughs in a Tarantino picture. Wrong. I think all violence is played for laughs in a Tarantino picture. You only have to look at Django Unchained with Samuel L. Jackson's character at the end. I mean, bunch of guys, violence, comedy. I mean, what? How is that not the same? Somehow you think you're exempt from it? It's universal. It's absolutely universal. Now, she then goes on to list a whole bunch of stuff, right? And this is, again, I take umbrage with these things. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood bears the same pattern for its final victims as Jackie Brown, The Hateful Eight, a laugh at a dead woman's expense. But an evil woman, nonetheless, right? These women in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood were evil, can be quantified as evil anyway. A can of dog food to the face, a brutal dog mauling, and a blowtorch execution at 6 p.m. Thursday audience in Burbank doubled over in hysterics. Now, she then goes on to list, like in Jackie Brown, Tarantino uses the death of Melanie, the blonde surfer girl as a punchline. Okay. Then we get The Hateful Eight. Again, Daisy Domergue, Jennifer Jason Leigh, suffers consistently at the hands of a captor, John Ruth, so Kurt Russell. But then, that's two movies, right? And I still disagree with them because there's movies, all of his films have comedic violence. That is the point to his movies, to a large degree anyway. I mean, Kill Bill, this is where it starts to go way off the rails. And she starts to lose herself. I think she clearly went into this article with a narrative and then went, oh crap, I actually can't really spin this properly. You'll see what I mean. Kill Bill, starring Uma Thurman and featuring mostly women. What's your issue? Gives more of an equal playing field to the amount of pain the sexes are able to inflict and endure. However, that pain's that's not good. Why? Because a man orchestrated it all. Could you not? But it's all at the behest or in pursuit of a man. So you've started the story saying that it's played for laughs at a woman's expense and it's not equal to the sexes. Then you've ended it by saying, here's a movie that's fine in, but it's not allowed because Kill Bill it's all to do with Bill. Are you mental? Are you mental? Girl power is often hinted at but rarely proven in a Tarantino film. Kill Bill. Kill Bill. What are you talking about? Now, moments in Jackie Brown and Kill Bill reach empowerment, but as a whole, they lack the substance to achieve the equality promised in the premise of many Tarantino films. I would argue Kill Bill absolutely is. Uma Thurman's character managed to convince a retired, sworn, honourable swordsman to create a sword for her. That's at the behest of a woman. The woman with the eye, I can't remember her name, kills the all-seeing, all-powerful kung fu master. What? These people, they're psychos. They see stuff that is absolutely not there. It is just baffling. It's a shame when all you can see is this. When all you can see is oppression. It's a real shame. Because it's not here. Like, I'd agree with it if there was. But it's not here, is it? Let's be honest. Ask yourself, is it really? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. So there you go. Look, there's an interesting article I pulled offline today just because I thought, what the hell is this crap? What are we talking about here? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I think this is just shows the current state of Hollywood. You can't, unless you're pandering to the minority, which in this case it is, those that demand a politically correct film from Tarantino, of all people, for God's sake. You know, unless you're pandering to those people, your movie's crap. No, it's not the case at all, is it? So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please do let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on the world of pop culture, movie news, and deep dives on certain bits and pieces just like this by hitting the bell notification icon. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel and you want exclusive access to further benefits, then you can head on over to my Patreon, which is linked down below in the description box. You can pledge your support and also have access to Skype roundtables and stuff like this. There's also my Teespring underneath the video. I will be dropping some new merch very, very soon. People love my dog. I actually have a Jasper themed t-shirt ready to drop, so that will be coming very, very soon. That's a limited availability though, so if you like my dog like I do, get yourself one of those t-shirts coming very soon. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. I haven't missed H. Take care.